What's My Line? The program gets professionals into elementary schools to give kids a look at various careers. Basically, it's 20 questions. The kids ask me yes or no questions and then try to guess what I do. Only one class has ever guessed correctly. I guess I shouldn't be shocked. A funeral director is a hidden professional, only consulted when there is a need. Death isn't convenient in our culture. In fact, it represents a failure to our scientific/medical-oriented society. No wonder kids don't want to be funeral directors when they grow up. They don't even know the profession exists. Sure, undertakers sponsor Little League teams, advertise in the local paper, and may support a local channel, but that's typical of the press we get. Purchased press. When we do get national press, it always seems to be negative. America is a death-denying, death-defying culture, and the media reflects that. The TV channels and newspapers will run the sensational stories of the 1 percentile of bad apples, the shysters. Proper funerals don't make headlines. But it doesn't have to be that way. When President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, the nation came together and mourned. Everyone remembers that iconic picture of John Kennedy Jr. saluting his father's passing caisson. That image is the epitome of what a funeral is supposed to accomplish: help people to face a death, acknowledge a life well lived, and express their grief in a public forum. A nation healed together during that funeral of one of America's great leaders. Our goal in writing this book was to give the readers a look into our world from our perspective, not the salacious media's. TV shows like Family Plots and 6 Feet Under did a lot for the profession by spinning it in a positive way, and we want to bring you more of that type of spin. But instead of from Hollywood, this time it's from the front lines. Starting with 80 half-baked musings, we distilled them into 50 readable stories that run the gamut of subjects within the profession. To protect the privacy of the contributors, we changed most of the names, except Ken's and mine, and adjusted the settings. In stories that might have contained potentially confidential material, details were altered, but the point the contributor was trying to make was retained. Without capitalizing on anyone's loss, we sought to take a look at the lifestyle of an undertaker, learn a little about the job, and examine some of the thoughts of funeral directors. The stories range from humorous to poignant. Now, you may ask, how can any aspect of that job be humorous? Read on and find out. It's not all doom and gloom, and I think you'll enjoy the ride, even though it may be a somewhat darker ride than you're used to. We're going to take you on a step-by-step journey from bedside to graveside. There is a lot of mystery and myth surrounding our profession, but a lot of life lessons can be learned from death, as you'll find in the ensuing pages. We hope these stories will debunk some myths, answer some questions, and give you a glimpse into our daily lives. While no means all-inclusive or applicable to the entire profession, we think these anecdotes are an interesting, informative cross-section of the job. Enjoy. Part 1. First Calls and Removals. When a death happens, the family contacts the neighborhood funeral home. This initial report of the death is known in the profession as the first call. Soon after it, the remains of the dearly departed are removed from the place of death and brought back to the mortuary for preparation. Unfortunately, the dead have no sense of time. They pass from this life to eternity at all hours of the day and night. And we, the undertakers, are often summoned out of deep sleep, away from the dinner table, and out of the shower, sometimes in bitterly cold weather, to perform the removal. When we start in this business, we generally exchange an apprenticeship for being on call for the firm. Consequently, the apprentice is usually the one to take the first call and make the removal. The apprentice can sometimes have a difficult job. Depending on the company, the hours can be long and relentless. But as in every other business, you have to start at the bottom. Typically, as you'll see illustrated in several stories throughout the book,